YouTube. I want y'all to know that. All right.
Okay.
And I don't know if Attorney Brandon Lewis knew, you're like the newest attorney in this call, not newest, but you're the most recent person, but we're now broadcasting on YouTube, and that will comply with needing to have the hearings open to the public.
Okay.
Okay, and I've muted it, so because at one point there was reverberation from here, the Zoom call, to the YouTube. And so I muted it, and that seems to help with the sound, okay? Attorney Ellis, how are you, sir?
Muted.
I'm trying to unmute him. I think he muted himself.
Yeah. Hello, good morning.
How are you? Good morning, sir. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Just fine.
Good, good, good. Okay, then is it Benavides, Attorney Benavides?
Yes, good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, sir. We can see your name, so I know how to spell your name, but I don't see your face.
Let me see what I can do. Oh, okay, I apologize. Yes.
There you are. There you are. How are you, counselor?
Very well, Your Honor. Thank you for trying to say my name correctly. You did a pretty good job.
Javier Benavides, is that close?
That's excellent, yes. Very
Okay,
good.
great. Thank you, thank you. So let's go through the calendar one more time.
All right, Judge, my victim advocate is still waiting to be let in.
Oh,
also.
I'm sorry, Miss. Oh, yeah, she is.
Mhm.
Oops, sorry about that. Sorry. There goes Miss Brookins.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. All right, so let's go through this calendar one more time and see what the announcements are. Roger Cheek.
That was a bond waiver. I've sent that information to the public defender.
Okay, so I'm going to take that off. State versus Ashley Conahan.
Yes, Your Honor, that's going to be a fast track.
That's the fast track? Okay, very, very good. I looked at, how soon are y'all going to get the paperwork to me?
Well, I've sent,
Yeah, it should be within the next 10 minutes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, Misty Williams. So Rashay Conley, that is our hearing. That's our first hearing. Is that correct?
yeah,
Okay.
yes, Judge.
Attorney Prothero, thank you for sitting in with us. You kind of, I guess you'd be doing similar to the same thing if you were in court anyway. But we appreciate your patience.
The
Absolutely.
thought crossed my mind.
All right, State versus Lozada Efren, new attorney.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Benavides, representing Efren Lozada Robles.
Yes. Have you,
Now, Judge, I haven't had a chance to
That's
speak
exactly-
to
that's what I was going to ask.
Mr. Benavides. Yes, we haven't had a chance to communicate at all.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what Miss.
So let me make this suggestion, and I'm not trying to put you off anymore, Attorney Prothero, at least because Mr. Attorney Benavides is just getting into this case. I'll take another break, let him speak to Ms. Freeman and see if there's something that they can work out, at least what his posture is. So when we come
That's
back,
excellent.
is that a good idea?
Excellent idea, Your Honor. Thank you.
Yes, sir, very good. All right. State versus Garrett Gates.
Your Honor, that's my client. We have accepted the bond reduction offer, and I believe Ms. Williams relayed that to Ms. Freeman. It's a total bond of $8,000 for Mr. Gates.
Yes,
So this
that's
is
already been submitted.
Okay, I don't have it yet, but you submitted it to,
Mr. Williams, yes.
okay, Mr. Williams, okay?
I'll just send it as a stack to you so you wouldn't get multiple emails.
Okay. State versus Derek Graham.
I believe that's a bond waiver as well. I've sent that information to Mr. Williams.
Okay, very, very good. State versus Ellen Harper.
Yes, Your Honor. She would like to be heard on the issue of bond and waive the preliminary hearing if possible.
Okay, and I think we're doing things a little bit differently than we typically do. Typically, we don't hear bonds until Friday, but again, it's a different environment that requires different responses. And so have you spoken to Ms. Freeman yet about the bond?
We were able to, well, I did speak to Ms. Freeman about a bond, and it's not a bond she can make. I would like to speak with Ms. Freeman one more time about it, and if not,
Okay.
just have a very, very brief bond hearing.
Okay.
And
All right.
Judge, I don't have an objection to doing, if Ms. Harper wants to do a waiver, I don't have a problem with doing a bond hearing since we're all already on the call.
Okay, all right. Do you have anyone that you need to have on the call, Mr. Lewis, Attorney Lewis?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, what about you, Ms. Freeman? Are you comfortable proceeding?
I am. I have her history, and what I'll do is on the next break, I will email Mr. Lewis a blank waiver form so he
Okay.
can go ahead and complete that for Ms. Harper.
Okay, all right, so it sounds like we're gonna have to, so, okay, this is bumping you back further, Attorney Prothero. Is that all right, sir? I'm trying to use the term judicial economy.
No, I understand, Judge. No, it's fine.
All right, thank you, Counselor. Thank you. State versus Stephen Jarrett.
That's a bond. No, I'm sorry, fast track waiver.
Okay, very, very good. State versus Frederick Johnson.
That was a bond waiver sent to Misty Williams.
Okay, great. So it's okay. All right. State versus Anthony Jones.
That's my client, Your Honor. We gonna beg Ms. Freeman to go down to 25,000 and we will take the bond. If she'll go down to 25,000 on the kidnapping, we still have 6,000 on the battery.
Okay,
I can
all
do
right.
that.
You can do that, then we're taking it, Judge.
I can do that.
It looks like a football kind of move.
Yeah.
And I'm not that good on football, but anyway. All right. State versus Johnny Lowe.
That's a waiver to drug court.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is a waiver. Okay, very
Yeah,
good.
Cheryl, I talked to him. He agreed to that. Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
great. Thank you. Thank
Mr.
you.
Williams will send that. Mhm.
Okay. State versus Miranda Miller.
That was dismissed. I sent an email to Your Honor and Ms. Simons.
Okay.
That's the case when I spoke to the officer and also reviewing the report. It did not list a third party who would have witnessed or heard the threat. And I let the officer know it was going to be dismissed.
And terroristic threat does require that publication to a third party.
Yes.
Rose, good working over there, Count. You need to wear your bow tie every day. It's giving you a kind of edge, okay?
Yeah, thanks, Your Honor. I'm just doing my job.
He said humbly. Very good. All right. State versus Mario Mitchell.
That's my client, Your Honor. I believe we are taking, oh, that's the one we have to fight about because the officer is not available until May.
That's
Exactly.
correct, Your Honor.
You said that's the one you have to fight about?
Well, yeah, because Ms. Freeman graciously declined the bond reduction I asked for. So I said, we're gonna talk to the judge about it since your officer is not available.
Well, I'll tell you what I typically do, Attorney Camille Reddick. Typically, if I have anything, the officer has filed the leave in advance of the court appearance, I typically go ahead and let this case be continued. If an officer has a proper request or proper reasoning behind their leave, then it's rare that I don't grant that continuance.
Well, my concern is that we don't know if he in fact filed it before he was noticed for court. Ms. Freeman wasn't aware of whether or not he had been subpoenaed prior to filing that conflict or whether or not his subpoena triggered him to file the conflict. So that was what we were trying to get to is did he
Oh,
go
wow.
to court
That's
and then
interesting.
file it?
Well,
That's
what I
interesting.
explained to Ms. Reddick is that the conflict was filed on April 6th, and given the circumstances of regarding the virus, I didn't think Magistrate Court was sending subpoenas out at this point. And so what is happening is Investigator Pat Ponder in the DA's office, after we get the calendar, she is making contact with these officers, trying to have them on standby and ready to proceed via Zoom. And what I explained to Ms. Reddick that I don't believe Investigator Ponder would have been able to contact Deputy Stoy before April 6th to let him know about today's calendar, because she would have had to be making contacts for April 13th in hearings before then. These are the adjustments that we've had to make as a result of COVID-19. So we would respectfully request that the case be continued to allow Deputy Stoy to provide testimony.
And Your Honor, I just need confirmation of that, because I believe, and what I've experienced with these prelims, the few that I have done, is that when the officers are notified of court, that's what triggers them to file a conflict, because they didn't. So I need to have a very clear date, because if that's the case, that he was notified about court and then decided to file a conflict, we would obviously say that's a problem on behalf of the client. There is a bond offer out there. I have spoken to the client about it, and he wanted to just have that clarification on when the officer was notified by when he filed the conflict, to make a final decision on whether or not the bond would be in his best interest, or should he acquiesce to the continuance, or if the court said we had to continue.
That's fair. That's fair enough. I can say this from the court's procedure, we have had to totally adjust the way that we subpoena officers for court. And I don't know if there's a way that we can determine when the officer was notified about having to come to court. I appreciate and I respect you saying that you wanted to know whether or not the officer filed the conflict after he was supposed to be in court. I don't know if there's a way that we can even make the determination. We'll definitely, Ms. Freeman, if you would give some, if you could give some research to that, maybe Ms. Simons can even find out when the officer was noticed to be in court. Then we'll be able to decide which way we'll go on this, Ms. Reddick. That's a very good, I like the way you
and I will, and I guess my question, is Magistrate Court still sending subpoenas out? I didn't even realize they were still sending subpoenas out. I just know the officers are being contacted by Investigator Ponder.
I think, go ahead, Ms. Simons.
The only way we've been able to send subpoenas is through the email subpoena option, but we're not able to send physical subpoenas right now.
Right.
And it looks like this case was reset from an earlier calendar. It was after the closure, so I don't think the subpoena went to the officer.
Would you be able to tell me what the earlier calendar reset date was and why it was reset?
It was reset due to COVID-19. I'm trying to find the previous calendar. It looks like it was March sometime. Sorry, I'm trying to get it to load. I can find some more information and come back with that.
And Your Honor, I will say that Deputy Stoy has been one of those deputies that I've actually had him on a hearing. And so I just from my previous experiences with him, especially during this pandemic, he's been available and he has actually testified in a hearing. So I certainly don't think that he would have put in a conflict for K-9 handler school to avoid providing testimony in this case.
Okay, let's see. What we'll do is we'll give a little bit more energy, Attorney Reddick, to finding out what happened first. And certainly you have a very valid reason to push back on this continuance. So if we find out that the officer was not subpoenaed until after he knew about having to go to school, then I'm going to continue the case. Right? But we'll find that out. And Ms. Simons is the best. She'll be able to get some information to us, okay?
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. State versus Cortez Rucker.
That's Mr.
Judge,
Ellis.
that's my client, Judge. I've spoken to Mr. Rucker. I need to speak again very briefly with Ms. Freeman about this matter. He's indicated he does not want a hearing, but he wants a bond. And I understand that there are 4 charges against him. He only has a bond on 1 of those 4 charges. If I could just speak with Ms. Freeman, see if we can get it settled.
Okay. Okay. And then Ryan Willis, I believe that we should have continued that case. Is Ms. Farrar still on the call or is she gone?
I am, Your Honor. I spoke with my client and explained to him what was going on told him I would ask for the 2-week continuance.
Okay, so we want 2 weeks?
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay. Let me look at this real quick. I'm just curious. I didn't look at Mr. Willis's file. Have we spoken to? Have we spoken to the victim, Ms. Freeman, in this one?
Let me double check with my victim advocate.
I noticed that Mr. Willis said that he needs to get out to help his grandmother. Just,
Yes, Your Honor. And I believe Ms. Freeman told me there was a $20,000 bond if the victim agreed, was okay with the stay away order. But he has a violation of probation as well.
I see. That may be the bigger challenge to all of this.
It is.
And Your Honor, regarding the victim of that case, and that's one that we actually just got, we were just able to get the report and that victim information. And at this point, her voicemail box is full. Ms. Brookins actually tried to call her this morning. I forwarded her the report that I had gotten. And so that's the only information I had to provide regarding that victim.
Okay, all right. Is it possible? I mean, I'm not trying to, I guess, challenge how you're practicing law, Ms. Farrar.
Yes, ma'am.
Would a week be sufficient? Because I'm just.
No, I'll go with a week. That will be fine. They've been trying to get the police report and hopefully they have it. They're about to get their hands on it, and that should, hopefully a week will be sufficient.
Ms. Freeman, I heard you say you just got a copy of the police report. Is that what you said?
Yes, I was able to. Well, I was able to get the report within the past couple of days.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Ms. Farrar, Attorney Farrar, perhaps when Ms. Freeman gets a copy of the report, because we're doing these preliminary hearings on Mondays and Wednesday. I just very aware of time. I read what your client said about, hold on, where is the Clayton County? Make sure that the jail, okay, they're there. I heard what he said about needing to help his grandmother. And so being sensitive to everyone, having relatives that they need to assist and relatives that they want to be responsive to, then if there's anything that you need to do, we'll put it for next Wednesday. I'll continue it for next Wednesday.
Okay.
If you want to have it on Monday, we'll move you into Monday.
Okay, if I get a copy of the police report, I believe I have your email, and I certainly can get in contact with Ms. Freeman and let her know.
Yes.
Okay, great. So we'll continue it to next Wednesday, the 22nd of April, Courtney. Sure. But I wonder if we should just continue it till Monday, and if it's not ready for Monday, set it to Wednesday. That's fine. Whatever you wish, Your Honor. Let's do it like that. I just don't want him waiting too long, So let's set him for Monday, the 20th. Let's set it for Monday, the 20th. And sounds good. If you're not ready, then of course just say you're not prepared, but at least that way we don't have him too much in a holding pattern. Thank you, Judge. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Okay, so is that all? If that's all you have, Ms. Farrar, you are free to go. Thank you. That's it. I appreciate it. Thank you. All right. Have a great rest of your day. You too. Bye-bye. Yes, ma'am. Okay, so we need to have a couple of more conversations. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Okay. All right, Ms. Freeman, I'm going to step off of the conference, the video conference. I'll step off. Ms. Simons will step off. We have some things that we can be doing. If you want to send some paperwork to me, I'll start signing off on some bonds, and maybe we can get some other attorneys, get them excused as well.
Okay, and Judge, just for clarification on Ms. Harper, on Mr. Lewis's client,
Yes.
Because she's the one who wanted to do a waiver, but she wanted to
Have a bond
be heard on
hearing.
issue of bond, or is the court okay with doing that? Just so we know.
Absolutely. I don't have a problem with that. I'm just gonna hear, what I'm going to do is hear Mr. Prothro's as soon as we're done with everything else that we need to handle in terms of pre-trying. Mr. Prothro's gonna be first up in terms of any conversation. So I'll have his hearing first, and then Attorney Lewis, I'll have your client, you know, and you make your presentation on the bond issue.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, so I'm gonna
Okay.
step off.
Okay.
And also I'm gonna stop the YouTube.
Okay.